Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. My name's Josh Dell'Aria, your host, and I'm so glad to be with you guys in 2020 now. And what I'm going to do for today is just go back and cover another 2019 song that I wasn't able to get to last year. I probably will have a few of them, at least a few of them in the next several weeks. It happens every year. Like, I obviously can't get to all the songs that I listened to in that year. Mainly because I find so many of them close to the end, and so, I don't always get the chance to, make a whole video of every single song, because it does take some time. But I'm actually going back to one of the ones that I actually found in the beginning of the year, and kind of hesitated on for a little while. So this actually comes from Phoenix-based singer-songwriter Danielle Durack, and when I first heard this song, I found it at like the beginning of January last year. It was like really early on in the year that she released this album. When I found her music, and I got one of her songs, this one, I wasn't terribly impressed. But as I listened to the song more and more over the year, I started kind of seeing more of the details that she put into the song, and it really started to impress me more as time went on. And as I'm sure if you guys watched the Top 20 last year, you guys probably saw that she wound up being nominated at the end for the Top 20. Now, those of you who have watched the Top 20 already know this, but in the end, Danielle didn't wind up making the Top 20. She ended up in the honorable mention category, but even then, I think, just the whole point of me nominating people for the Top 20 is really just to show that their music is worthy of the Top 20. Even if they don't make it, it doesn't mean that their song is bad. It means that their song is still fantastic. It's just not as fantastic as the other 20 songs that happen to get on there. So in any case, Danielle Durack is a Phoenix-based singer-songwriter, and she released her debut album, I think it's the debut album, Bashful, last year, which kind of gives me the impression that she's kind of an introvert, but I don't know if that's really true. Don't really know if it matters all that much. But anyways, I wound up getting her song, Hold My Heart, from that album, and I listened to it the first time, and I was like, I'm not quite sure how much I like this. And I think you guys will figure out why that is the case as I go and explain some of the stuff in the song. But over time, I started noticing a lot more of like the subtle differences and nuances and stuff like that, so as I was listening to it more, I was kind of more leaning toward, okay, maybe I can put this on YouTube. Because you guys know I don't like putting bad songs on here. At least I don't want to feature them, because, like, to me, I'd rather feature the good one what people do and kind of point all that stuff out. And so I just didn't feel like the song was all that great until I got to the point where I was thinking about nominating it. So once I made the decision to nominate it, I was like, okay, you know what? I probably can just go ahead and put this up here on YouTube. So without further ado, let me go ahead and play it here. Again, this is Danielle Durack with Hold My Heart.
I'm sure you noticed I can't do without. I'm sure you noticed I get anxious when you're not around. God knows I told you about the nightmares. God knows that was a mistake. I really don't want you believing that you're everything to me. They she cared. I wish she knew how to hold my heart.
Alright, I'm gonna get the bad stuff out of the way early. So, the biggest thing that caught my ear when I first heard this song was this chord progression. See, this progression never really changes through the song, and it's not a very powerful chord progression, so it doesn't make sense to me for this progression to be going throughout the entire song. And so, I feel like if Danielle can kind of mix up her chords a little bit more, make them sound a little bit more interesting, I think that might be a better standpoint for the future. Obviously, I know this was on a debut album, so, I can understand why sometimes musicians might not have had the experience of going out and, kind of messing around with different stuff and different ways of expressing the music and all that sort of stuff. So it's possible, in my opinion, that it's something like that could have been kind of thrown together. And I understand it, but I do wish that she had kind of opened up a little bit more to some other chord choices, and it might have made the song sound a little bit more interesting. Nonetheless, I think pretty much everything else Danielle does in this song is really good, if not better. And I'll go into the lyrics a little bit here.
I'm sure you noticed I can't do without. I'm sure you noticed I get anxious when you're not around. God knows I told you about the nightmares. God knows that was a mistake. I really don't want you believing that you're everything to me.
Yeah, so one of the nice things that Danielle does very well is I think she chooses really the best words that she possibly could have to express the point that she was trying to express. That, I think, is really difficult for most musicians, because not only do you have to express the point the way you want to, but you kind of have to find some of the better words to do that with. Sometimes a lot of musicians kind of overdo this, and they try to use really genius words, and it kind of doesn't really fit the situation that well. And I think there are other times when there are probably some better words that could be used to express things like that, and some people sometimes go with cliches just because they think it's going to connect with listeners. But I really love the way that Danielle put this all together, because it sounds genuine and it sounds very detailed. So, you can pretty well get a good grip on everything she's trying to say, but she's also not really saying it like everybody else says it. Next, there's a point in the first verse where Danielle makes an excellent repetition.
Maybe too much comfort when she broke your heart.
Yeah, that too much comfort line is really awesome, because what she's actually doing here is she's kind of saying the same thing over again, but not really. Because I think, she's basically using the same words, but in two different contexts. The way she uses too much comfort, you could have assumed too much would have meant something else before she said too much comfort. And I love that she did it that way, because it makes a lot of sense, and it is kind of cool to have a point where somebody stutters in a song, but it's not everywhere in the song. So it just makes it seem more realistic, the way she put it in. Okay, I'm going to go hop over here to the chorus, and I want you to pay particular attention to Danielle's voice and how her dynamics expand as the instrument's dynamics also expand.
You know just what to say to make my days collapse. You know those late nights always have me running right back. I don't know how many times that you've torn me apart. You never cared, you never known how to hold my heart.
See, this to me is a really important skill to have, because I know it's kind of obvious that when the instrument's dynamics start to go up, the voice's dynamics should also start to go up, in tandem, in proportion, all that sort of stuff. But, it is an important skill thing to be able to do that. And I can't say necessarily that a lot of musicians don't know how to, most musicians do know how to do that. But I think it's still important to make sure, because sometimes it's easy, to forget sometimes, to get drowned out into some other aspect of the song, that you forget to do the dynamics right. And sometimes if it's not done right, you can make the song sound awful. And the last thing I'll cover here is the bridge.
So say the words that'll make this better. Make all your promises that hold no water. If I give you the chance, I'll lose all your respect.
See, I think this is very, very well done, and the biggest reason why is because Danielle is not really afraid of the pitches as she goes up to the higher ones, and she hits them very accurately. And it's another thing where I think sometimes musicians' brains can kind of psych them out a little bit and get them to think about the things that they might fear, like, you know, they might think about not hitting the high notes properly, or they might just fear the fact that the music goes up at that point. And I love that Danielle doesn't really show that in in singing this, because it just makes the song just sound so much more beautiful. Again, it's just another one of those pitfalls that I think a lot of singers can fall into if they kind of focus on the wrong things. So it's good that Danielle did not do that. And that's all I have on this song, you guys. Thank you all for watching. If you guys like Danielle Durack, you can go and check out her website, danielledurack.com. And all of her social media links will be down in the description as well. And of course, as always, if there's any music that you guys like, or if you've made music yourself that you want me to feature here on the show, you can let me know. My email address here is joshdell'Ariasmusicalescapades@gmail.com. You can send me an email there. You can send me a Facebook message too on our Facebook page, facebook.com/JoshD'sMusicalEscapades, or you can leave it in the comments below. And one way or another, if you get it to me in one of those three ways, I will for sure listen to it, and you never know, it might end up here on the show. Thank you guys again for watching, and until next time, go make great music, everybody.